How you doing? Happy New Year, obviously. It's February. Shows you how often I've done videos. I'm posting this because it's to do more with the sad news at the weekend than it was to do with anything to do with the game and the performance and all that other malarkey and crap. I mean a lot. No, it's to do with the fact that, and this is what I'm wearing, and this is why I'm wearing what I'm wearing. Sad news I heard yesterday. Funny enough, it was read on social media. Simon Donald from Viz. More about him in a minute. I'll follow him, and it pops up. It says, regrettably, I have to announce, and it's sad news to read about the fact that the loss of Alan Shoulder. Now, there's a story behind that which I'll go into very I'll try and dip as briefly as I possibly can. When I went to my first game, the Burnley game, 1980 April, my cousin, a few years older than me, he's actually working in Saudi now, fun enough, for I think PIF, as far as I heard, to do with construction out there. Got a great job. He got found, I don't know, way before Christmas. So he went to see me auntie just before Christmas. It's a long story anyway. But no, Craig went with us to the match. We all bundled in a. My dad drove us. And this just shows you, doesn't it? 1980. My dad drove us in this grey van, which, fun enough, out of the three of us, Dad was the only one that could drive. Obviously, I was 9. My cousin must have been, what, 15? I think. Could have been. Well, very likely. I think there's 6 years between us. He's 15. I'm 9. My dad's driven the van, which didn't belong to him. It was your brother-in-law's minivan that they used for transporting stuff. Little grey thing. So I'm in the thing. It's a 2-seater, so I'm riding around there. You know, good old 1980s. Fuck health and safety. Bloody blah. Anyway, Dad has parked in the city. Can you believe this? The very possibility that you could find somewhere to park in the city on a side street. God only knows where we were. And of course, there's those massive, motherfucking huge, great, tall pylons that look like the bloody post office tower up there. Whoa. I mean, the ground towers over the city now, but the 4 pylons for the floodlights used to. And I can hear the noise even then, and it just goes through. Of course, we went in through the old shitty. Of course, you know, it is now the Milburn stand. Was the Milburn before that, and of course we knew it was the West stand with the old fisheye for the camera. And the story about Simon Donald is, well, I was talking about the game a few years ago on social media, and he pipes up and said, actually, mate, he says, do you realise I was a few feet away from you in that same very corner? And I can remember Alan Shoulder coming running into that corner, and you can hear people, you know, that sound you hear, horses doing that bloody racket and stuff, because they're running around like blue-ass flies. Burnley were in an away kit. They were in yellow, the thingy diamonds, like a generic kit that Everton would wear and so on and so forth, a yellow. And I was just fascinated, of course. And you know, Newcastle wore this top. It was a year before we transferred to the one with the diamonds, which always looked out of date, even though it was bloody early 80s, you know. And my cousin just said to me, look out for Alan Shoulder, watch this guy, he's a brilliant. So I was told, look for number such and such, and I forget what Alan played in that day. And he just became my hero. I guess he was the first, first seeing the club, he was the first bloke I was to see as a talisman. You know, when you got all of the ball you're playing in the backyard and what have you, I'm Alan Shoulder on the ball, you know, blah, blah. I had no idea that bloody Terry Hibbett was still in. Of course, genius of him. You know, I'm sorry, Terry, it sounds disrespectful. I was 9, I was wet beyond the ears as anything. My dad bought us a Buckter school bag, one of them crappy old you've seen they've used in the 70s, the vinyl, you know, and it just had, of course, I had this beautiful badge on the side, massive great thing, Buckter, black. That's all it was. It was as simple as that. That's how it was in those days, you know. And yeah, the whole atmosphere, seeing the sea, you know, of people sweeping up and down there. It was like a field of wheat, but it was human beings being hoyed back and forwards and what have you. No doubt Jimmy Nail in amongst many others, God knows. And yeah, and as I say, Simon Donald has stood in that corner. We were the bottom corner where the Gallagher met the West, front row, so we could see right down and what have you, in standing room, of course, you know, the great fucking killer cages, as you would call them, the killer fencing. And yeah, it was a beautiful day. It was windy, but it was dry. And my dad had just said, "Oh, sod it, let's go," you know. And God knows, it probably only cost him about £15 for the three of us to get in and what have you back then, which probably sounds expensive back then. But you know, I mean, a pint of beer was about £1, but bloody worth it, you know. And a memory that has stuck with me ever since. And I hope, and I know it sounds pretentious, but if somebody knows Alan, or Alan, sorry, has known of Alan, known his family, is in contact with him, I really do hope that they get to get to him my commiserations and condolences, because he really was a sort of like, he was a legend. And more importantly, I know now from looking at his past life, he had a job very similar to my granddad. Although my granddad was one thing up, he had a killer job. And you know, it's the most wonderful rags to riches type of story, that he went from something stupid like, I don't know what the hell it was, to £200 a week, which back then was like, fucking hell, £200 a week. I mean, you know, with inflation, you translate that what it is now, but you know, it's 4 to 5 figures. And imagine earning that every week from doing something that's far more fun than, you know, being down in a hole all day, having the risk of gas, having the risk of flooding, having the risk of this. I mean, it was the God Almighty. People bemoan the loss of coal in this country, and what they don't realise is coal killed people. It didn't just things. Those lads had I can't speculate to find out whether Alan, what it was, what ill health Alan suffered to do this, but he wouldn't have worn breathing apparatus or a mask down there. I doubt very much the pit would have gone that far the way they do now, from bloody PPE and all this other stuff that we are. It was like, oh, I get your backside down there. You got your lamp works and your helmets. That's all you need, bollocks. You know, pair of heavy boots, and you ate your dinner down there all bloody day. I mean, that's how I was with my granddad. So, but yeah, I mean, I really did. I just stopped there for a minute and I just thought, oh shit, one of my heroes is dead. How the hell did? God, you know. Crikey, I mean, I know I'm going to be like bloody Peter Beardsley goes. Jesus, I didn't want to talk it up. So, yeah, Newcastle United, black flag today, you know. Never mind fuck what happened on Saturday, who cares? I expected us to lose anyway, Christ's sake. More importantly, it's just that we lost a legend, a guy, and you know, those words are so easily used. Legend is a word chucked around with all a lot, but that guy, he scored, I worked out the average, it was roughly 1 goal in every 3 games that guy scored for us. And if that was Alexander Isak, everyone would be going absolutely potty. But Alexander Isak hasn't been down a pit and been in charge of a group of lads trying to dig a resource out of the ground. You know, then had the luck of, well, to say luck or good fortune, or that, you know, being at the right place at the right time, joining things. And that's the other thing as well, you know, he joins a big club from having jobs. It's the classic stepping stone. He's gone from, you know, the way Ian Wright had done from, what club was it, Hayes, I think, or some, Christ knows whatever. Anyway, some bunch of fucking unknowns. Next thing you know, he's at Crystal Palace. He's nearly bogged himself a fucking FA Cup winners medal. I mean, bloody unlucky to in that final. Then boom, he's at Arsenal and he's become a fucking living legend. And he already is. And even though I couldn't stand him as a fucking player, I watch him now as a person, and it's like bloody brilliant, because he was, and he had a horrible fucking life. You know, and as I say, it's easy to suggest that Alan went to, but if Alan's been down a pit looking after, fuck man, you know, I know, I've heard enough stories, I've learned enough from what I'm told by other people to know that wasn't a fucking easy job. And it was like he was the lucky one to get out while the rest of them are all stiff. And one of the good things is, I guess, that his co-workers, former co-workers, can go and watch him play on the field. And I doubt very much he would have fucking forgotten. You know, it's like, oh no, I'm a footballer now. No, he'd still be like, fuck it, I'd be down there. You know. So, yeah, you know, he's one of them players that had come from nowhere, bloody appreciated what he had. You know, and it's a shame. It really bloody is. And as I say, I hope the club will give Alan due respect and show a lot of appreciation to him, because I know obviously it's an era where there won't be much footage of him. You know, we weren't featured on the television like they are every week. You know, you get a younger player and it's this goal, that goal scored to people. so much of the time Alan was scoring goals that weren't on the telly. But you know, you'll have teammates who would have thought of him, Peter With and what have you. I mean, Peter With had a hell of a time. Lost Gary Shaw last year, I think, through a. I mean, Gary Shaw had an accident or something, but he was his striker partner at Villa. That partnership, Christ. And there was a rags to riches story of a club coming from nowhere to win a championship. Bang, you know, the Leicester City moment, as it were. But anyway, as I say, Alan, as I say, a massive hero of mine. And but if I was told, you know, he's the first player to think, if I had a Sabutio team out, he was the first player on the ball and what have you. I couldn't think of the others, you know. So, what a terrible shame, you know. So I hope if there is somebody that knows him or had known of him and knows his family, what have you, I do hope they appreciate. We'll see that this has been a video put in memory to him. You know, just thank you, Alan, and thank you, Alan's family. You know, brilliant guy, and you say, and a northeaster. That's the crucial thing, I think, more than anything. A northeast lad who stayed in the northeast. He didn't go off fancy fine. For him, fancy was playing for Newcastle. You know, it just shows you. So to him, that's the thing. You know, Blythe. He's been Bishop Auckland. He's gone to Blythe. He's at Newcastle. Stayed there. Went to Carlisle. You know, didn't feel the need. Oh, I've got to sod off and go down to other clubs, because that's what horrified me about the fact that we sold Peter Beardsley to Fulham. Why the hell couldn't Peter have been able to stay in the local vicinity? Terrible. Anyway, onwards and upwards. I don't know what's going to happen this week. I'm not optimistic about things. I have a horrible feeling Arsenal could turn us over. We've become a really vulnerable at St James's. But that's another time. That's another thing. You know, take your hat off to Alan's shoulder and raise a drink for him sometime. Look after yourselves. Ta-da.